And at 10, Radioactive Foxy. No, he's not an Imagine Dragons fan. Radioactive Foxy is one of the Wasteland-themed skins added in the Wasteland event for FNAF AR Special Delivery. You can purchase his skin and lures from the shop. Radioactive Foxy looks almost identical to normal Foxy. The only difference is that now Foxy is neon green. And he's radioactive, okay? And his body is slightly translucent, making his endoskeleton fairly visible, also featuring a faint radioactive symbol on his belly. And a dual hook consisting of like a different design compared to that of Foxy's normal hook, but it has two hooks, okay? Because get it, he's radioactive, he's mutated. But this is exactly the kind of thing that the SCP Foundation would contain. I mean, just look at it. This isn't a normal thing, okay? And while it is radioactive, it's also a sentient animatronic robot looking like he just came straight out of Chernobyl, so yeah, the SCP Foundation would be all over this dude. He'd be contained, and depending on his aggression, probably classified as Keter, considering what we deal with in the game. But this guy, he just looks like trouble. He looks for trouble. Call him SCP-1987. I know it's already a thing, but just let me make a bite of 87 joke, okay? In at 9, VR Toy Freddy. VR Toy Freddy is a neon-themed skin for Toy Freddy released on May 7th, 2020. He's also the first skin for Toy Freddy in Special Delivery, and he's also the first of 3 skins from the Arcade Mayhem event. And honestly, these 3 animatronics as one SCP would still make sense, like SCP-1987A, B, and C. He appears to be similar to the nature of Toy Freddy Fazbear, almost sharing the exact same model with him, but this time he's wearing VR goggles. His appearance is a dark neon purple, which also applies to his hat, bow tie, buttons, and microphone. He's textured with a few like cyber style circuit lines, and he wears a virtual reality headset regularly. During encounters though, he is replaced by his attack mode variant named Livewire Toy Freddy, and in this form his purple color turns to a fiery orange. He's covered with several glowing yellow circuit web textures, and he no longer wears his headset and reveals his bright yellow-green glowing eyes. This kind of theme remains present throughout the other 2 in this set as well, and I think that their anomalous property would come from like when specific things glitch. Like, Freddy would come out when a VR game glitches, Chica would be in arcade machines, and then Bonnie would appear for like a critical system error, considering how their skin is system error Toy Bonnie. In at 8, Phantom Animatronics. The Phantom Animatronics are hallucination variants of the original animatronics who haunt Fazbear's fright throughout the nights of FNAF 3. The Freddy Files book also points out how these hallucinations appear to be burnt, suggesting that they're warning you about what's coming. The Phantom Animatronics first appeared in FNAF 3 as side antagonists. Some of them returned in Ultimate Custom Night, but I guarantee they all came back in Help Wanted. They include, but are not limited to, the Puppet, Foxy, Chica, Balloon Boy. There are multiple Phantom Animatronics that could possibly be considered SCPs. I mean, like, the Phantoms are already the scariest part of FNAF, so any one of them, or even the group, being considered an SCP that comes out whenever the oxygen level gets too low seems kind of reasonable. They would also probably cause the cameras to glitch out and audio to sound distorted, which is something that they also kind of did in the game. But this is definitely something worthy of SCP-1987. Yes, I'm going to keep calling it 1987, alright? And at 7, Bunzo Bunny. Debuting in Chapter 2 Fly on the Web, Bunzo first appeared in the musical memory minigame, and toy versions were later seen being produced near the water treatment facility. Bunzo in this case replaced Daisy, who in the trailer was supposed to be where Bunzo was. Bunzo Bunny is an anthropomorphic yellow rabbit with black eyes, 2 large buck teeth, and long yellow ears. He also has a green party hat and green overalls with 2 large green buttons holding them together. He holds 2 large golden symbols that he claps. His cheeks are orange alongside the inner part of his ears being that same orange, and he has small tufts of fur that can be seen on his chest and on the top of his head. Bunzo acts as one of the mechanics and the main mascot for the musical memory game, in which he will lower towards the player as they play. If the player gets an error in the game's pattern sequence or just fails it completely, or you're too damn slow, Bunzo will kill you and just slam his symbols on the side of your head. Well, aside from triggering my FNAF related PTSD, this is probably one of the creepiest characters in the game. I just imagine like a cymbal clapping monkey, like one of those toys, as an SCP, and then that's what I picture Bunzo being, so yikes. And at 6, the Daycare Attendant. Do I even really need to explain this one? Especially if this thing was a human, okay? This would be 100% considered anomalous. The Daycare Attendant, otherwise known in-game as Sundrop or Moondrop, is a superstar daycare animatronic that appears in Security Breach as a recurring antagonist in its moon form. As Sun, the Daycare Attendant is upbeat and energetic, kinda like Funtime Freddy, or me when I've had a couple monster. He enjoys doing activities with children, I don't. such as putting on puppet shows and drinking fizzy fazz. I like the fizzy fazz. When Gregory knocks down the structures as a way to distract him, Sun panics and quickly rushes to clean them up. He's also very serious about keeping the lights on as a way to prevent himself from transforming into Moon. As Moon, the daycare attendant is malevolent and aggressive, who constantly chases Gregory once the lights are turned off and attempts to punish him for being a naughty boy, which is already a problem. Even though Moon still has a distaste for messes and is responsible for cleaning them up, just as his daytime counterpart is, but Moon does so to a more demented degree. The fact that they can change between the two, that it also changes his entire appearance when the lights go out, is definitely SCP material. The man who casts a shadow that grabs people, I think it's a man at least, the shadow that grabs people and he has to have lights on from all angles, or how Peanut needs to be watched constantly. Sun would need the lights to be on at all times to ensure that he didn't turn into Moon. They would have to have 14 backup generators. This is exactly the kind of thing that someone would write about in the SCP Wiki. Halfway through into number 5, Poppy. Poppy Playtime, which is literally the name of the toy and the game, is the first toy produced by Playtime Co and debuted in Chapter 1. She is the namesake for the game, first appearing at the end of Chapter 1 as a minor character and later reappearing in Chapter 2 as a little helpful white porcelain seeming doll. Poppy is a tiny doll with chalk white skin, freckles, and rosy cheeks. She has red curly hair tied into double pigtails, held up with a pair of powder blue ribbons. The way light reflects off of her face suggests that she is made from porcelain or some form of glazed material. She wears a large bouncy powder blue gown with long frilly sleeves adorned with numerous bows, frills, and bustles, and a pair of black Mary Janes, which I can only assume are shoes. In Chapter 2, she actually seems to be an ally to the player until the last moments when you're about to escape on the train and she says that you're too nice to let go and then traps you even deeper into the factory, which I was calling before I even started playing it. And then as soon as I did, I was like, she's gonna betray us. I could tell that she was that fake kind of nice, which is exactly how an SCP would operate. I mean, come on, look at her in Chapter 2 and tell me that it doesn't remind you of that teddy bear who goes around making people feel good but then has a clone that's made completely of ears, and if you get close to it, you'll start sprouting ears on your body too. You know what I'm talking about. And at 4, Glitch Trap. Glitch Trap, also referred to as the Anomaly by Tape Girl, is the main antagonist of FNAF Help Wanted. He's a digital virus who is confirmed to be William Afton that lies within the Freddy Fazbear virtual experience. While inside the Fazbear virtual experience, his main goal is to merge with the player in order to escape the digital world, that player being Vanny. Being a literal sentient code being, I think would absolutely draw the attention of the SCP Foundation, even if it wasn't an SCP. A consciousness that can take control over someone by assimilating them through a VR headset, such a load of that it doesn't even make sense in the FNAF universe, let alone in a world where the SCP Foundation exists and is aiming to contain anomalous things. A VR game possessed by a sentient code serial killer that wants to escape through someone? Yeah, that computer, the game, and the headset are all being confiscated and being brought back to Site A where they can contain it properly. Probably class it as Euclid, since it can't really do any physical harm unless it's used, and then they'd probably run some tests with Class D personnel to try to figure out what's really going on. They could have a chat with William and then just kill the Class D when they're done talking. And then hope that killing the Class D then puts William back in the game instead of just releasing him into the world. Okay, there could be a lot of valuable information learned this way. Maybe I could. No, Connor, stop. Okay, you're already on multiple watch lists. You don't need to put yourself on any more. Getting close to the end, and number 3, Daddy Longlegs. Daddy Longlegs is a toy produced by Playtime Co that also debuted in a poster in Chapter 2, but similar to Baby, not much is known about him, other than the fact that he comes in the Mommy Longlegs and family set, and he's Baby Longlegs' dad, or at least he thinks he is. I doubt he got a paternity test, because I mean, look at the thing. How could it not be yours? He was most likely created after the success of Mommy Longlegs, and he is meant to explain Baby Longlegs. Daddy Longlegs appears in the poster after escaping PJ Pugapillar as well, but he just appears in a different one. However, he is a blue stretchy spider with a dark blue mustache, magenta eyes, a yellow bow tie, yellow buttons, and a gray fedora. What? How does pink and blue make yellow? I don't understand. But honestly, this is giving me Chris Hansen conversation vibes. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he needs to talk to Chris Hansen. He's definitely a sussy boy. And if they were an SCP, however, I think that they would actually be human. I feel like they would be a human, like a Mr. Fantastic kind of thing, who would then have a kid with their female variant. Yikes. But ultimately, in at number 2, Nightmare. Nightmare is a cruel, twisted animatronic who is sadistic in nature. This is apparent in Ultimate Custom Night, where he informs the player of their death in a rather sadistic manner. He also appears to enjoy mocking his victims. Upon getting the chance to do so, he speaks using a deep, monstrous voice, befitting his name. The name also comes from the fact that these are dreamt-up animatronics present in Crying Child's mind after being put into coma by overpowered Fredbear's jaw, and since Fredbear is the one who put Crying Child in the coma in the first place, it makes sense that their dark death omen version is called Nightmare. I mean, this is a representation of death after all, and I think that's what the SCP version of the character would be as well. An omen of death, a bringer of destruction. Anything caught in the shadow of this animatronic would instantly perish due to a crushed skull. This idea coming from the fact that you can see Nightmare's endoskeleton through his casing, making it seem like this endoskeleton is merely encased in shadow. So being in what would be the shadow of this creature, even if it isn't visible, could in my mind end up killing you via a crushed skull. Of course. Call this one SCP-1983. Get it? Because the bite of 83? Because FNAF 4 takes place in 1983, damn it. And finally, in at number 1, Glamrock Endo. The Glamrock Endos are the endoskeletons engineered for Glamrock animatronics of Freddy Fazbear's Mega Pizzaplex and appear in FNAF Security Breach as hostile enemies, appearing in various places all over the map, but most notably in parts and service. The Glamrock Endo is a very high-tech version of the original endoskeleton, being gray in color as usual, like the original Mark 1 and Mark 2, but these ones are seemingly much stronger, with broader shoulders and a seemingly more superhero-shaped body. Like when you're drawing the stick figure base for a superhero and you use that like inverted Dorito shape, yeah. These are also seemingly just for the male Glamrock animatronics, since if we're being real, Chica's thick, but she doesn't have massive shoulders like Monty or Freddy. Either way, the mechanic of these animatronics is that they move when the player isn't looking at them. Well, at least after being activated, but hello? That's literally already an SCP mechanic. Peanut, who I mentioned earlier, aka SCP-173, one of the most iconic of all time, like I knew about Peanut before I knew about SCPs, that's the exact way that Peanut acts, just with the exception of not needing activation. So yeah, Glamrock Endos are 100% SCP material. If anything, they already are SCPs. And at 10, Mini Huggies. The Mini Huggies are toys that were produced by Playtime Co. specifically for the Wacka-Wuggy minigame that appears in Chapter 2. There are many versions of Huggy Wuggy. They're long-legged, furry entities that come in a variety of colors such as green, red, blue, and yellow. There might be more, but we don't actually see any if they are. Because you know what, in my head that would imply that they're mating to make new colors. Because how do you get purple? You mix red and blue. Yep, why am I the way that I am? But even if there are other colors, alright, again, we don't see them. The Mini Huggies make an appearance during the Wacka-Wuggy minigame in Chapter 2, and that's the only time where they can actually attack the player. There are 18 holes in the walls during this minigame, and when it starts, you'll hear them crawling through the pipes and making their way through the holes. You then need to turn around and smack them with the grab pack in order to actually make them retreat. This is the kind of thing that I absolutely would expect to be an SCP. And the fact that they're attached to strings that are supposed to pull them back when they get too close to the kid that mommy cuts is exactly the kind of stupid containment procedure that the Foundation would have. So I love it. In at 9, Playtime Co. Playtime Co. is the toy making company which is in essence the big bad of the game series. It was also the main location where the game takes place. It was established in 1930 with the intent to entertain children across the globe, becoming the most famous and well-known toy manufacturing company of its time. All the way back after Elliot Ludwig had divorced his wife, he would work for his company, Playtime Co., but a family death then pushed Ludwig to the lowest he'd ever been. It's unknown who died, although he continued to work for his company. He would later create big toys like Poppy Playtime, which helped his company grow. Playtime Co. would then try to experiment with their toys, trying to inject a living rat into one of them, and then it's revealed within documents that other people possessed toys. Mary Payne, for example, possesses Mommy Longlegs. It is also presumed that Poppy Playtime, the doll itself, is possessed by Elliot Ludwig's daughter, who is also the presumed family member that pushed him to his lowest. Now, they may not be an SCP exactly, but you cannot tell me that they aren't sketchy as hell like the actual SCP Foundation. I feel like there had to have been a decent amount of inspiration from the SCP Wiki for this game. Like, doing this list made me realize so many weird connections. And at 8, PJ Pugapillar. PJ Pugapillar is a swampable toy produced by Playtime Co. who debuted in Chapter 2 Fly in a Web. He resides in the Statues game as its main antagonist. The player must play the game of Statues while trying to get to the end, avoiding being caught by PJ. PJ is a long creature that is a combination of a pug and a caterpillar, which, considering how I have a pug myself, it hurts tremendously because I hate this. Look at how they massacred my boy. He has several blue and purple segments all over his body that are fluffy. He has large eyes and that have black pupils, okay? He has a pink muzzle, blue heart-shaped nose and fluffy ears, and he has multiple pink and purple arms that are covered in blue. He has pointy shoes. His tongue is pink and it's constantly hanging out of his mouth like a pug does. His teeth, or his canine teeth or whatever, are similar to that of a human's. He also seems to have teardrop patterns below his eyes, which, you know what? To me is understandable, because what the hell? Why would you do this to a pug? Look, a purple and blue caterpillar combined with a pug that also wants to eat humans? Yeah, that's totally not an SCP idea at all. Totally is, dude. Come on. And at 7, Plush Babies. The Plush Babies are a group of at least 3 plushies that make an appearance in both FNAF Help Wanted and its DLC The Curse of Dreadbear as antagonists. The Plush Babies' appearance seems to be based on the Circus Baby Funko plushie in our real world, and they are pale white skinned clown-like plushies with light blue eyes and orange hair and pigtails, because you know what, pigtails make everything scarier. They also have a red top to their stomach with an orange triangle on their belly. The orange triangle also has a small fan printed on it, because of course it does. Because why take one of the weirdest things in FNAF and shrink it? Because why not? They also have a red nose and a smile with their mouth connected to their red cheeks. One has a red outfit, one has blue, and one has yellow. And while they might have their own behavior, I mean, just look at this thing and tell me it couldn't be an SCP, okay? It's a plush animatronic, for God's sakes. Plus, there has been weirder stuff, at least in the context of like weird base objects, like a telephone or literally the egg that only lets you say egg when describing it. Like, come on. The Plush Babies and all their weirdness would absolutely be classified as an SCP. And at 6, Mommy Long Legs. Mommy Long Legs, otherwise referred to as Experiment 1222 or Mary Pine, which is her real name, is a toy produced by Playtime Co. who debuted in Chapter 2 as its main antagonist. In her angry form, Mommy Long Legs takes on a deranged and annoyed appearance, kind of like my grandmother, where her entire body becomes withered and covered in grime. In her sinister form, her appearance remains almost identical to her angry state, except that her eyes become even more dilated, or completely dilated I should say, and she won't even blink anymore. Her hair becomes twisted and mangled, and her fingers also become very elongated, kind of like the other mother from Coraline, but pink and a spider. She will also twist and bend her body into even more unnatural angles. I used to know someone who could do that, and it was horrifying. Through the events of Chapter 2, Mommy Longlegs ropes the player into participating in multiple minigames, in which she claims that she will hand pieces of a train code over if they win. Mommy Longlegs, however, does everything in her power to prevent you from actually winning and trying to kill you in the end, such as rigging the games that the player is forced to participate in. So yeah, straight up SCP material. And you know what? You can't fight me on that, and if you try, you're wrong. Halfway through, and at number 5, Boulder Toy Bonnie. Boulder Toy Bonnie is a stone Toy Bonnie released on November 19th, 2020. He was added as Toy Bonnie's second skin, and the second member of the Haunted Forest event. Boulder Toy Bonnie is a completely gray Toy Bonnie made up entirely of stone. His body shows severe damage as parts of him have crumbled off, and various cracks show throughout his stomach and limbs. He also appears to be very covered in moss and vegetation, as it's growing throughout him and actually inside some of the cracks in his body. And finally, his eye sockets are completely empty, and he has a full set of upper teeth, unlike his normal counterpart. This isn't just the Five Nights at Freddy's version of Peanut. I don't know what is, okay? Like, this is just Peanut but with a different paint job. This is Peanut with extra steps. For all I know, Boulder Bonnie could be reinforced with rebar, okay? Like, which seems to be what Peanut was reinforced with as well, from what I remember of the wiki, okay? Boulder Toy Bonnie is the SCP-173 of FNAF. Getting close to the end in number 4, Baby Longlegs. Baby Longlegs is a toy produced by Playtime Co. that was debuted in Chapter 2 as a poster, alright? It wasn't an actual toy, they were on a poster. Not much is known about them other than the fact that they come with the Mommy and Family set with the Mommy Longlegs and Daddy Longlegs, and they were most likely created after Mommy Longlegs' success. Baby Longlegs appears in a poster just after escaping PJ Pugapillar, and they're a yellow stretchy spider with a single tooth in the middle and a cyan strand of hair with matching colored gloves, which is a whole other kind of thing. Like, why do you have gloves that match your hair? That seems weird to me, but oh well. They have orange eyes, and of course they wear a diaper. You know what? And straight up, all of this is terrifying. It's actually kind of haunting. This thing creeps me the hell out, and I hope that we don't actually see it in another chapter. But if we do, this is going to be the creepiest baby that I have ever seen. Not the ugliest baby, but definitely the creepiest. And it would 100% be an SCP. Most likely SCP-1222A. Probably, since 1222 is Mommy Longlegs' experiment number, so it would be 1222A. Getting close to the end into number 3, Toxic Springtrap. Toxic Springtrap is the second skin in the Wasteland event from FNAF AR. He is also the first skin for Springtrap in the game, and I really wish he wasn't. Toxic Springtrap has a repulsive appearance, covered in pale tumor-like warts, tentacle-like veins, some moldy skin patches, and it's letting out gassy fumes, let's say. The infectious looking traits, including his corpse, were all shaded with purple and indigo tints as a possible throwback to the iconic color of his human form's minigame appearance. You know, purple guy. But I mean, along the same lines as Radioactive Foxy, since they do come from the same event, there is no way that the Foundation is letting this monstrosity out onto the streets, okay? He'd probably have the ability to turn people into creatures like him, be it instantly or slowly, or maybe just like a touch would be enough to kill. Like the kiss of death, but you're only 5 feet away from him and then boom, you're dead. And then boom, you're looking for this! 100% classed as a Keter object, and he'd hopefully be contained in a 1x1 by 7 foot glass tube so that I would never have to deal with Afton again, okay? Call this one SCP-1985. Penultimately, and number 2, Huggy Wuggy. As the antagonist of Chapter 1, I think we can all understand why Huggy is on this list. Huggy Wuggy is the mascot of Playtime Co. and one of the company's most popular toys. But luckily, he was, like my mind, last seen falling into a dark abyss of the factory at the end of Chapter 1. Huggy Wuggy is a tall, slender creature covered in thick, bright blue fur. His arms and legs are several feet in length and end in large yellow hands and feet. The hands have large Velcro straps on them, and the feet possess 4 digits including thumbs, though they're all fused together and are unable to move individually, aside from the thumbs. So he can give you a thumbs up, but he can't flip you off, and that's good. His torso is stout and disproportionately small in comparison to his limbs, but that's kind of the point, he's a toy. His head is large and contains 2 large black dilated eyes that want to eat your soul, and his face has oversized bright red lips. When he's aggressive though, or I guess hungry, he's the same with rows of razor sharp needle point teeth, like a demented blue furry shark. And yes, I said furry shark and not furry shark. There's a difference. Yeah, I'm damn glad that he's not real. But he also isn't Experiment 1006, which we all thought. But either way, you know what? The whole naming convention for their experiments, are you trying to tell me that like Playtime Co. isn't just the SCP Foundation with extra steps? Like, come on. This is Experiment whatever his number was in Chapter 2, I forget it now, but like, come on, it's obvious. And finally, in at number 1, the Prototype. Experiment 1006, also known as the Prototype, is the main overarching antagonist of Poppy Playtime, like how the animatronics are the villains in FNAF 1, but William is the villain overall. He's a mysterious robot created by Playtime Co. who goes on a rampage, killing everyone around the company after the results of the experiment go terribly wrong. It was originally thought to be Huggy Wuggy, but Experiment 1006 is hinted to be extremely dangerous and highly intelligent. intelligent. Experiment 1006 is mentioned in Chapter 2's VHS tapes once again, and in it he's described as being highly intelligent and also very destructive. He's stated to have made a laser that can disable cameras and then used it to escape his containment, or tried to. This ended in the casualty of an employee because they locked him back in with the prototype. Experiment 1006 is mentioned once again in the death screens, where they said that he was loose and it led to an emergency lockdown. At the end of the chapter, Mommy Longlegs begs the player not to kill her, fearing that she'll join him, and then after she dies, the large skinny metal needle hand belonging to 1006 grabs her and then drags her into darkness. This has to be an SCP already. There is no way that this is original, okay? It's so goddamn specific, I feel like I'm reading the SCP wiki. Like, come on, that's nuts, dude.